Our guest this morning, Mr. Akin Fatunke, is right here in the studio with us. He's a public affairs analyst. He's an elder statesman and he is a chartered accountant and trainer by profession. Good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Tommy. Good morning, Nigerians and friends of Nigeria. It's nice to be here.
Let's begin with the bottlenecks worsen as vehicle clearance, ease of business seems to be thrown out the window at the Apapa port. The gridlock at the Apapa port may not be so much of an issue, but across Lagos, it's beginning to spill over everywhere. Hiccups in the vehicle valuation system of the NCS, that's the Nigeria Customs Service, may hamper the importation of used cars, just as thousands of dealers and agents are on the verge of losing their livelihood. Now, this is what it means. The controversial electronic vehicle identity number VIN valuation system, despite having undergone review, is being sabotaged, causing pain to importers who face hurdles in the process of clearing their vehicles. As the challenges linger, many importers have been forced to abandon their vehicles at the terminal, accumulating damages, a situation that has increased the cost of vehicle clearing and purchase. Now, the Customs Service introduced the VIN valuation policy in January 2022 to aid trade facilitation and enhance cargo delivery process. The platform was intended to reduce human intervention and make clearing more seamless.
I mean, clearly, Tommy, anything that has to do with technology and less of human intervention must naturally have its good side. But what I always find a bit irksome, in my view, is that technology will serve as best as the human
capacity
thoughts towards it. Something you call change management. So, I mean, change is good. Good technology is good. But, you know, policy and well-honed economists will look at what they describe as the ratchet effect, the demonstration effect. You know, you do the what if question.
Yes.
And if you do that what if question, it might just, like you go for a loan and you get a moratorium, you can go and renegotiate moratorium, something much more easier with time limits and discipline by all stakeholders to make sure that they stick to that time limit. That hardly happens for whatever reason. I have lived in this country, and so many people have lived in this country, where policy will be changed so dramatically and so fast. I concede that the VIN was introduced in January, but was January to now approaching August of year 2022 enough to streamline all the rough edges? Sooner than later, maybe not due to fault of government, people are now going to come out on the streets jobless, and the axis of people attacking you with axes and weapons may continue at a time when you know your capacity for security is spread thin. I think if my experience is anything to go back, and you ask me, what do I see happening between now and what I've just described, between now and December? I hope you're not going to call me a sage who sees tomorrow today. We are going to get representations for them, not necessarily to reverse, rather to extend, you know, or do one or two things that will make life much more easier for people. I have been here where we woke up to a reality that a policy prescription, whether technology, whether it's for trade liberalization, whether it's for employment creation, was made about 6 months ago. And the people that were behind this were chessboard players. So if you move that, okay, that's what is going to happen. This is going to be the next effect. And because they already have insider information, what they have gone to do is to try and go to beat that system so that the windfall will fall into private pockets. mark it down. This is not going to be an easy ride. I think it's going to be a long distance race. Government must listen. And, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria will want to get involved in this, so that we just don't throw people again into what Dr. Akinwumi Adesina has rightly called extreme, hardened, abject poverty on the back of COVID that is rising, on the back of insecurity that is everywhere, on the back of the fact that factor endowment of rainfall that everybody should be looking at and be saying, yeah, okay, we are going to get a farm produce on. It's now turning into a river of salts and tributaries here and there, people getting drowned and what have you. I think we need to rethink that policy, think the thought process through it, without necessarily, drawing a hammer or a dagger. Get the stakeholders to go sit with government and the policy to be revised to have a bit of a human space. But I agree, in principle, there is a need to sanitize some of the kind of ragtag that comes into the country. But look at our demography, look at our pockets also.
Mr. Fatuke, I'm also interested in this story about the boat mishap in Lagos. Now, flooding is not a strange concept to us as a people. It's something that we have been dealing with across the country. As a matter of fact, across the world. And one of the reasons climate change is something that every government in the world has been called to action on. Now, but the interesting part is every year we usually know that there will be flood because it's not strange to us. Last week, there was a boat tragedy, rather unfortunate, and about 17 people were said to have died as the boat capsized. There was also flood where 4 people were said to have died. A newspaper said one of the young people who died in that flood was asthmatic, and 3 other kids. But let's look at it. The Ovori of Ibeshe, Oba Alani Goso, on Wednesday blamed lack of training and human error from boat operators for the death of the 17 passengers who are from the Sumola Ania Jogun family of Ibeshe in Mile 2 area of Lagos recently. NIWA revealed that the jetty where the boat departed last Friday had been closed down since June last year. That's one. A delegation from NIWA, when they visited the palace of Obaguso, urged the regulators to carry out training for boat skippers to ensure such accidents are avoided. Now, the boat tragedy that resulted in the death of the 17 boat passengers was down to human error. If the boat skippers are well trained, the scenario where the drivers operate outside the 6:30 a.m. to the 6:30 p.m. stipulated time would not occur. Another point, that boat mishap happened outside the stipulated time. 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. is the operational time for NIWA. If you're going to drive your boat, use it within the time. Number 2, that jetty was actually closed for 6 months. How did people go to a jetty that was closed to board a boat?
I tell you that in all material particular in our country, we have not learned, or we have deliberately refused to learn. We have deliberately refused to learn because we know we can cut corners, nobody's going to catch us. And so, you find a situation whereby the regulator needs to be regulated to be able to regulate the rest. In other words, those who are supposed to be policing us needs to be policed for them to be able to give us adequate security. Those who are supposed to be giving us good health needs to be regulated appropriately for them to be able to regulate us. Now, it's not necessarily trying to be a government apologist, but your open liner, again, perhaps tells it all. Every season, we are warned. NIMET will give those who are in upland, lowland, at so and so time, we are likely to be facing what we call flooding. Unlike other places, you will give that warning and you make sure some form of fallback alternative exists. And so people hear this and say, so what else should I be? They say, he who, who is down to the ground cannot fear falling. And so it goes on deaf ears. And because people who are supposed to be regulating also know that on a demand and supply basis, people are not going to hear, so they go around trying to do some kind of extortion. That is a fact. Now, Lagos State government, to the best of my understanding, has made rules and regulations concerning going on boats.
Yes.
Just mentioned it that it has to be within specific time limit. There are certain safety aspects that should be in place before you get
on the boat.
So people will naturally want to cut corners and cut costs. It's the same reason why people who put those trailers on the road that you hear kill people yesterday, overturned at Oju Elegba elsewhere, will still continue to happen, because those who are supposed to be regulating are sometimes putting their faces to the other side. And don't forget one thing. That alternative became imperative on account of you not being able to travel by road.
Yes.
The buses are not there. The young girls, the young boys, people who have left home from about 4 a.m. trying to rush back might be stranded on the road. And if they are stranded on the road, the bad boys and the bad girls come out, and then if they don't kidnap them, look, everything is so convoluted. My genuine commiseration, but beyond my genuine
members of one family, 17,
is the fact that, and this is the aspect that I know Tosin will want to shut me off, or at least not to ask that, don't I have faith? It's going to happen again, unfortunately. Just like our buildings keep on coming down and inquiry will go into it, we forget, and then it will now again happen. My advice, therefore, is to tell myself and whoever cares to listen that you don't need a rocket certificate in education for you to have what you call common sense. Like we say, security is everybody's business. Water supply and water has now become everybody's business. Generating light and all that is everybody's business, adding to all our poverty. So also our issue of transportation. Please, we have a right as citizens participation, to look around, whether it is a bus you want to get into, whether it is a train, whether it is a boat. Ask some of those basic questions. And in this day and age of the internet, if you don't do this, this is what I'm going to do, you are going to be reported. Of course, you do it with a modicum of common sense. If 1, 2, 3, or 4 people now begin to ask that should be enforced, including reporting people who are deviant to the authorities, and reporting the authorities if they don't take cognizance of your reporting. It goes all around. So we are concerned to be looking at our health, to be looking at our safety, to be looking at our reporting, to be able to just make sure that at the end of the day, you say something, you say something. It reminds me, a good reminder to make here, that on December 10 of year 2005, because people who saw something felt that, well, once I'm out of it, it's not going to be my portion, as you always say, was responsible for the Sosoliso crash. People got on that plane, they saw that things were not moving on, and said, God, oh, please help me, help me. And then as soon as you landed, you saw children trooping in there. You didn't think it was your responsibility to now then say, hey, wait
no. That plane did not even give us good service when we were coming here. And you know it's a in and out. And
perhaps because your own child was not there, people rushed into that plane. Mrs. Taiwo Odukoya, if you remember her,
yes, I do. Fountain of Life.
Fountain of Life.
His first
there.
wife.
So many people rushed in there. And what happened? The Jesuits College, some of the best that will have competed with any child on the globe, all perished in Port Harcourt.
But for one.
But for one that incidentally was in my office, and immediately she came to my office, I mentioned it before, I was just going to give up. But eventually, in solicitation, they were going to the oil companies at that time. And I said, how can a human being look like this?
Yeah.
But see what she eventually became. My point, therefore, is, yes, it's the responsibility of government, it's the responsibility of our obas, bales, it's the responsibility of landlords association or associations here and there, churches, mosques, shrines, to keep on preaching and preaching to people. Please, let's be conscious. Your consciousness might just be the 1 minute or 1 second that would save not just your life, but other lives.
Because you cannot put a boat on water and an entire family of 17 people would board that boat. First, you're operating outside the time the government has stipulated for boats to operate.
It's a disaster.
You're operating during a heavy rainfall when you know that nobody can come rescue you if anything happens. I'm just wondering how people get that callous as to put other people's lives in danger. You see the pictures from the boat. I know my director can just put it up there. If you see pictures from the boat capsizing, you'd understand that there was absolutely no way people would have survived.
Absolutely no way people would have survived. People didn't survive it yesterday, day before yesterday, last year. Question now is,
would they do it again?
How many that are listening, including myself, will survive it tomorrow if we don't take a listen and demand some form of responsibility in all the things we do? Don't forget Fela. He said it. My people, they fear too much. I know one die. I know one quench. Papa dey for house. My boyfriend dey for corner. My girlfriend dey for upstairs. And we open our eyes and begin to see some of these things go. Listen, I concede that it is the responsibility of law, order, and regulation to do the needful. But if it is not there, we need to survive at least in the short term.
Moreover, even when it is there, don't we have the responsibility to obey?
Exactly. To obey. So please don't
cross the expressway. We cross right under the pedestrian bridge.
Don't build house on the
high tension wire. We build our houses right underneath.
Don't go and do your business under a Congo bridge.
We do it exactly there.
Okay, so maybe we should be doing laws that
Nigerians flout.
Oh no, you make a law that you know is not the right law, maybe people will now then
obey. Oh, okay. So maybe we should be making bad laws so that people would now obey bad laws, and then they would ignore.
For instance, you say when you get to the express, don't care. Just say handbrake, just cross. I think when we make such laws, people will not say, "Hey,
you want to kill us?
You want to kill me?" They will obey. We are making jest of this, but unfortunately.
But it's the truth. That's the boat. How can a boat look like this? Anyway, we bought cars that are sideways. We bought buses that have only one side. We bought, I mean, it was upside down. Completely.
Go to the average petrol stations that you have across Nigeria.
Even if you can swim, where would you swim to?
I am in that, I work in that space. The regulation is that it will be double wall tank. What that double wall tank does for you is the fact that for remediation, even after 50, 60 years, if there's going to be a leakage, before the authorities can come, they will always get there and come and rescue. Or that when you have that on your trailer, if there is an upturn, it will not spill. However, the double tank wall costs about 4 or 5 times because of safety. So the men go in there and regulate and make sure it's done. But the boys and the girls go in there, just go get something, a ragtag, and then we keep on killing ourselves. The choice is ours. At the end of the day, please, let's rise up. While we are looking for good governance, let's make sure that at any point in time that we survive. Again, survive using our brains and our heads.
Now, this next topic, just as we let Mr. Fatuke go, I want to speak to him as a father. A 12-year-old girl was rescued yesterday in Benue State from the house of a 50-year-old man where a family had sent her to become his third wife. Now, let me tell you the story. This girl goes to school. A family one day took her out of school and said she was going to some towns away because she thought she was going there to continue her schooling. Upon getting there, she landed in the house of a 50-year-old man as his third wife. She is 12 and she was rescued by the Benue chapter of NAPTIP. Now, this is a matter for concern. Child marriage. She wasn't kidnapped. She wasn't taken by force. Her parents sent her there to go marry the man. What penalty do you think is appropriate for such parents?
Oh, this because you heard?
Yes, because I heard.
So many that you will never ever hear. And in any case, what transpired with the 12-year-olds that you have heard or you've been privileged to hear, and we are now being privileged to hear, and we are patriotically bringing for
so that parents who choose to do such can know now that they're going to go to jail.
Always been with us.
Yes.
And so it therefore means culturally, because now the culture is the people's way of life, what they believe in doing, their religion, their morals, this and that. Culturally, while the better parts of humankind are moving in the upward swing, we are not just static. We are moving and racing backwards. Yes. Everybody knows that the consequence of that is vascular, vaginal.
Yeah.
And you need to go to hospitals in the north. I schooled in the north. And it's something I saw, not today, not yesterday. I am talking about things I saw about 25, 30 years ago. you'll be sorry. You'll be sorry when you see these young girls not just bleeding to their death. And over time, money is voted to ensuring that things are not done. So what then happens? Because of this out of school children, because of lack of, again, regulation of being what you call responsible parents. So you say something to yourself, okay, I'm not going to throw this child away. I'm going to wean this child up to year 8, 9, 10. I will be throw this child to one.
So I can make money.
So that I can make money.
Children have now become commodities that some parents sell.
Forever and ever, for anybody that cares to listen, I say it with utmost pride that we had a man that bestrode Nigeria like a colossus at one point in time. Not today, not yesterday. He saw something like this was going to happen, and what did he do? On bare feet, he will go to village and on that education upon education. And people are saying it's because you are with shoes and stuff like that. Many of us don't have shoes. Awolowo went on his bare feet and went to the heartland of Ekiti. And the Ekiti people, using their dialect, will tell you that if you want to take us into slavery, leave us the way we are. He persisted, and today, many years after his death, the legacy remains that those places has produced the highest number of professors. My point, therefore, is, yes, if when Awolowo was doing that, his counterparts elsewhere were looking at him, either out of whatever it is, some feudal way of doing their things. And if you continue to watch without planting, you will not get anything to reap on the day of famine. But on the day of famine now, you now want to now then say, which now tells you about the history of Nigeria. Yes, I don't have anything to eat. Those that are planted, that may not be enough for, you must spread it across and bring it to me. Again, it is most unfortunate, it's surprising, under normal circumstances, where I know this happens heavily is in the northern part. Being in Benue.
This was Benue, not Central.
Don't let us deceive ourselves. In areas of relative civilization, in southeast,
even southeast,
you get a lot of these things going on. Again, I say, let's keep watching one another's back.
Is this not human trafficking?
It is inhuman trafficking.
Must you have children if you cannot care for them?
And if you have children, the law, I think the law must be very heavy, right from ostracizing those kind of people. And that is why I am an Egba man, an Ebekuta man. Okay, I will say we started the citadel of civilization. If I am staying wherever it is I am, and I am looking at you, Tobisi, you are doing whatever it is. Hey, see you. Do you know that is what Mrs. Ransom Kuti did at one point in time when all that now normal circumstances, she should just be enjoying herself. Say, look, you women, come out, we are going to protest this tax that we feel is
too high,
inhuman. We are going to go bare naked. We had Queen Amina of Zaria. So where has all this gone to? My point is, we are going to have to go communal, where we have built silos. I say it's my responsibility. I think you used to say I'm 18, you cannot do certain things to me. If you are doing what is wrong, it's my responsibility to let the authorities know. If I let the authorities know and they don't do, they are also aware that there is a trail to say, I've reported this, you've not done what you need to do, and so if the calamity comes, we know what to pick upon. So consequence management is what we call it. If you do things that is against the law, you are punished. If you are seen to be aiding and abetting things that are being done that is enhancing society, those are the kind of people that we should be giving national awards.
And we should celebrate.
Yes.
Many thanks for joining us this morning on the Bumper Breakfast. Mr. Akin Fatunke has been our guest, and our conversation has been centered around some of the issues happening across the country. It's always a pleasure having you, sir.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is mine. Nigeria shall rise again. The sun will rise again for Nigeria, but collectively we must put hands together, talk about it, act it, and do something. Do something, and we must do something to bring Nigeria back to the level that our forefathers and our foremothers
foresaw it to be.
Foresaw it, and it's supposed
and
to
desire that we should be right now.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back with Youth Kana, and of course you get to meet our guest this morning. We'll be back.
All I do is win. I wake up, I win. I close my